Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and the test server for 9.0 is out, and I thought I'd hop on and take a look at historical battles, which are due to be released in 9.0 for the first time. Confrontation is actually being replaced by historical battles, so the option for confrontation battles is gone from the interface. I have a KV-1S in my garage, and I loaded it up. And the first thing I notice is, why is the 122mm gun this small? Well, the easy answer is, this is not the 122 that we all know and love. So the historical battles have a configuration. This gun is the 76 that has a penetration of 86, a damage of 100. And I'm looking like, oh, I have a couple premium rounds, a penetration of 102. That's my premium round. And there's Ferdies opposite me. So I meet a Stug in the beginning, and I shoot HE at him because I don't know what else I'm going to do. And so I fire HE, and I'm firing at the wrong spots, but that's because I am completely bewildered at this point. I have no clue what the heck's going on or what I'm going to possibly do to those Ferdy with any of these ammo types. I keep looking at the ammo again like, really? Really? What can I possibly do? So my working theory at this point is, I guess I'm going to use the AP because chucking HE, I did 30 damage to the Stug. You can't do that. Chipping down 30 from that, there's no way it'll even remotely happen. So I'd rather penetrate 1 out of 3 and deal 100 than deal 30 each time. Also, here's a weird thing. So the damage on the round that I'm using on the AP round said it had a damage of 110, but if you look at the video on both Stugs in which I penetrated, I was the only one that hit the Stug and it dealt over 200. That seems weird to me. I wonder if the tooltip is actually wrong and this is a different type of ammo or it has different penetration or what, because that's just weird to me. I actually didn't notice that until just now recording this. I had a feeling in-game that I was kind of surprised when one of the Stugs died, but looking it over on video, now it's like, yeah, that is totally weird. But in-game I was working under the assumption that I was only going to deal 100 damage per shot, so the working theory that I was operating under was I was guessing I was going to do some scout work, and I thought, I don't know the exact view range of this turret. The KV-1S has a 350 view range on the upgraded turret. If this is not the upgraded turret, which I assume it wasn't, then it's like 330 view range, and a Ferdy has 370 view range, so it's like I won't be able to see any of these things. If they don't want to be seen, I won't be able to see them. Now, luckily, we're able to light some people up. Yeah, I just don't know how we win from this position. Or correction, I know how we win for this position. We have a bunch of SU-152s. Whatever gun they have, they're going to be effective against the Ferdies. The problem is these are just not the best players that we have here. And that kind of brings up another point. I know that being top tier is a big advantage and being a bottom tier is not going to be the easiest life, but a lot of bottom tier tanks can still be effective against top tier tanks, and in historical battles in this particular iteration of it, that's just not the case. I don't know what I can do to any of these things. 90 penetration. Right now you can see I'm trying to pen the side of the Ferdy. I'm trying to track him, and I can't even do it. The gun is too weak to track him. It either doesn't have enough penetration or enough damage to actually damage the wheel module to track him. What am I possibly supposed to do? So when you start historical battles, you are given a loadout of historical ammo. Please do not think that I chose the ammo loadout that I did. It becomes pre-chosen with every tank, and it's bizarrely weird. A lot of HE on most of the loadouts that I've seen. There's an option to buy the ammo with gold instead of credits. There's no difference in the ammo that you get, only what you pay for it, so I don't see any reason to pay gold for it, other than it seems kind of expensive for every battle because you have to pay the full loadout and you don't get anything back, I believe. I might be wrong on that one. But anyway, so yeah, I'm in the KV-1S. I get getting spotted. I'm trying to do some scouting work. I'm not that fast, so I can't climb the hill and YOLO into the woods because he's going to kill me so far before I get there. And my full health teammates can't figure it out that they outnumber him 3-1, and so they're just kind of hanging back, waiting for someone else to do it. So now the Ferdy's lit up, and I'm going to show him what I got. And you can see I can't pen the side of it. I mean, I have 3 APCR rounds that give 10 more penetration. That's not going to do anything. Sorry. I guess my main complaint is there's just not a role I can fulfill. It's a view range map, and I'm out-viewed by my opponents either 20 meters or a ridiculous 40 meters, and they have camouflage and they're sitting behind bushes. Even if they were moving and I was sitting behind a bush, they'd spot me before I spotted them. I can't pen them from the side. I'm not fast enough to go anywhere. I mean, what the heck? What am I supposed to do? So the next game I pick in Easy 8 because I know that no matter what gun I have, it's going to be somewhat reasonable. It's actually the 75mm, which only has 90 penetration. Whatever. I can use the mobility. And we're on Erlenberg, and so the people playing the German tanks like to hide in the northwest corner. They just like to group up there. And so the plan is just to surround them and get side shots on them. But I've forgotten, I have not played the Easy 8 in forever. I've forgotten that it is not exactly a sniper, so the accuracy is really poor. So I'm kind of swearing to myself. We're pitted, we have a pile of Hellcats and 2 Easy 8s, and we are pitted against a King Tiger, 2 Jagdpanthers, and the new Panzer variant at Tier 5. The 75 won't pen the side of a KT. It won't. So I can be circling the KT and maybe 40% of my shots will penetrate. I don't even know how I landed that shot on the Jagdpanther. No clue. Absolutely no clue. And you look at the ammo loadout, again, very little APCR, very high on HE, and so I finally get the hint of, you know what, you just can't deal damage from long range with this darn tank, or at least without the M1A2, so I just decide to YOLO forward. I mean, I'm shooting at the rear of a King Tiger, and it's not going through. He's basically invincible to me. On the flip side, I'm not really sure how the Germans are supposed to win this game mode either, simply because they don't have many tanks. They can't really leave their cap zone because we're just going to fast cap the heck out of them, and somebody can delay them at our cap. So we have to, the Germans, the only way they can win is by camping and we over push and we die to them. So from a game theory perspective, this entire map or game mode is supposed to be a draw, really. If you've played the 742 battles, you know how important those Tier 1 tanks are in fast capping strategies, and so the same rule applies here. They just can't go anywhere, and they just have to hope that we go into the front of them. And so I'm YOLOing around this thing, and I'm like, okay, let's see what the gun penetrates, what it doesn't. And it's really hard to pen the side of the turret. So, okay, can I pen just the side of his hull? Yep, got one through. Okay, that looks great. I have no idea what the heck's going on. We do win that, but I really think the opponents could play better and just bleed us. They were out in the open when we were shooting at their sides, and they still were really hard to take down and almost won. If you have a competent player in the JT or a Jagdpanther, your team's going to get annihilated. Next up, I hop into the IS. The IS is mounting the 122, so it looks like this is a fully upgraded tank, more or less. So we have 4 ISs, we have a T-34, and an ISU 152 against a Jagdtiger. Oh my god, a King Tiger and a Jagdpanther. What a terrible lineup for us. This is awful. But the mobility and the alpha of the ISs is going to be good enough to at least make a game of it in this one. I think this is the most balanced of the three that I have tried. And again, we are on Erlenberg, and they are hiding in that northwest corner again, as they are wont to do. The Jagdtiger is going to be very difficult when he's hauled down. He is literally invincible from the front. And this game is one of those games where our top tier is just terrible. Like eating paint chips and glue bad. And we lose because of it, because he can't be anywhere near the battle. Right now you see him in the SU over on the east side, where there's no one going to be over there. And I get it, this is the test server and everybody's trying stuff out and playing around, but the guys on the east side are just putzing around doing nothing over there and really not making their way fast enough. Meanwhile, the guys near me decided that they were going to go face to face with a Jagdtiger, and one of them already died. I took a hit, though I tried to avoid it, and the Jagdtiger is just YOLOing me. I mean, it's just bizarrely awful that he's YOLOing me just all alone, no problem, and I can't do anything about it because my team is just floundering on the east side. We know where all the tanks are. They're all sitting in that northwest corner, and our ISU is sitting in D7 where he's not going to land a shot. He dealt, I think, about 700 damage this entire game. And the only reason he got that damage is because at the end he got a couple of spite shots on the enemy when he was all alone. And that's the thing too, is that the top tier tanks just matter so much more because it's short-handed and because the abilities of the tanks are so different from normal. In a 15 by 15 game, if you have one great player or one really bad player at the top, it's not going to sink you just because you have 14 other players on your team, and that's generally going to even things out. The skill level, just the law of numbers, is going to even it out. But in these games, you have 3 tanks for the German side, and if you get a great player in the JT, he's going to be invincible, and if you get a terrible player in the JT, well, guess what? You've just lost. And it just feels really up to the luck of the draw. So there's a lot of people who want to be in that JT, there's a lot of people who want to be in the King Tiger for the Germans, and apparently because of that, the wait times for those tanks are very high, and in the queue even times out because there's so many people waiting for it. I didn't notice the wait times too terribly much, but I wasn't trying for those tanks either. And like I said, I just tried for the IS, the E8, and the KV-1S, and I got games relatively quickly. On the real server, I think the queue would be pretty quickly if you wanted to play the German or the Russian or the US side of things. Overall, I liked my experience in the IS. I did not like the experience in the E8 or in the KV-1S. If you can't fulfill any role, then what's the point? The reason why I picked the KV-1S is I thought I was going to get the 122, or I thought I was going to get I think it can mount the derp. So I thought one of those 2 guns would have been fine. When I didn't get either of those options, I went to the Easy 8, so at least if the gun was totally unworkable, I could do some scouting, but we already know where the enemy is, and literally none of us could damage them. The Hellcats all have the 75 or the 76, and they have the same problems I do, just the penetration is way too low to actually damage something. You're only carrying a couple of rounds of premium ammo, and that premium ammo isn't any good anyway. It increases your penetration by like 10. The IS was the best because it had workable penetration. 3 rounds of the 122 is going to be pretty sufficient. I mean, since there's only 3 German tanks, if you can get those 3 APCR rounds to land, that's 1,200 damage, when the enemy team in total has not a whole lot over that. Maybe like 3,000-ish. But I think there's definite room for improvement on the game mode. I'm not giving it up by any means. Like I said, I liked playing the IS. I've played it actually a couple other times past this battle as well, and had some good times with it, had some interesting times with it. It is the test server, so games are going to be very up and down. But overall, this part looks a little bit sketchy, and the biggest advice I can give to Wargaming is, yeah, definitely up the penetration on the guns, please. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.